I've got 2 questions this week. Only answer one. They're very similar questions, but whatever. So, either what is a fandom that you did not belong to 9 years ago that you belong to now? Or what is a fandom that you were a part of 9 years ago and have since decided it's time to move on? Matt and Tabitha are both shaking their heads, so they've already got something. Tabitha, you are chomping at the bit. Let's start with you.
Am I a horse?
Nay.
Jesus. Where's my bell?
Right there.
Too far. Yeah. I think I have to say Harry Potter. 9 years ago, not that this is such a weird topic, but like 9 years ago, I proudly had a entire bookcase of Harry Potter stuff displayed in our home, and I still have all those items. They're just in a box put away because it is a very expensive collection that someday I will probably get rid of and sell. But I have unfortunately lost my luster for a series of books and movies that meant a lot to me, and it makes me sad. I don't think I gained anything new, but I definitely lost my dedication to Harry Potter.
Matt.
So I have, in this time frame, joined the ranks of the Whovians. It was...
I forgot you weren't when we started this.
I was not. It was something I knew about. My dad watched the original series. My dad's doctor is the 4th Doctor. I've always known that. As long as I knew about Doctor Who, I knew who his doctor was. I knew that they did the reboot. I knew that I wanted to watch it, and I just did not get to it. And I think I caught up. I binged it and caught up about the end of Capaldi. I think is about where I caught up to the current timeline. And I'm almost current now. There's a few episodes of Judy's that I have not watched yet. But yeah, it was always on the agenda, but I never made it a priority, and I am a full-blown Whovian as of now.
Nice. Completely off topic because we haven't been around for a hot minute. But I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but since you have experienced some of Shooty's episodes, what are your thoughts?
It's a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. I am still very intrigued, entranced. Confused by the constant wardrobe changes. It's so very new. The Doctor always just wears the same outfit every episode all the time, and not one episode is he wearing the same thing. It fits for him, and I'm enjoying that, but it's something that I didn't really realize I would have to acclimate to, and I am. But even then, I'm still enjoying it, still having a good time, ready to finish the current season.
Yeah, no, you're right. Like he, like the change in wardrobe and all that kind of stuff. It's taken a little bit of getting used to, but yeah, if anybody's gonna pull it off, it's him. I really enjoyed this last season. Where there's some stinkers, sure, but there are some stinkers in every season of Doctor Who. But I had fun with every episode. My only wish is that Space Babies was not the season premiere. If it was elsewhere in the season, I would have loved it, but it was weak for a season premiere.
There's parts of that episode that I love, and there's parts of that episode that make me super cringe. And it's so weird because there's both throughout that entire episode at multiple moments, like second to second. I'm like, yes, no, oh God, all right. I'm like, it's a roller coaster.
Lydia, I have not forgotten about you. I just, like when I hear somebody say Doctor Who, I'm immediately like, hi, can we talk? Can we be best friends? So
that's fair. I mean, I actually had to think about this one a little bit because there's not really anything new that I have like super clung to. Because most of the fandoms I was already like around, I'm either still invested in, or I just still don't really care. Like Star Wars, I've watched some of it now. Still wouldn't say I'm a part of that fandom, but it just clicked in my brain that at that point in time, I actually would have been a part of the Walking Dead fandom. And I am not now. Because like I really enjoyed watching the series back then, and I actually like cared about the characters and where it was going and what the plot line was going to be. And then at a certain point of the series, it just hit a wall, and I stopped watching, and I have not picked it back up since.
Yeah.
And as we have talked about multiple times at this point, it's just like you're beating a dead horse. Just let it die. Yeah. So.
Had you started Supernatural at that point?
I was trying to remember. If I had maybe gotten through like season 1 or 2 and then had like stopped, because I restarted Supernatural multiple times before I finally got through it. Because I think the first time I got up to like maybe season 3 and then dropped it for a while and then went back and restarted and watched up to like season 6 and then stopped, and the cycle repeated itself until we finally finished season 15 like earlier this year. So I'm not even sure at this point.
Because for whatever reason, like when I came up with this question, like in my head I was like, Lydia's going to choose Supernatural. Of course she is.
I couldn't remember exactly when like I officially was like, yes, I love this, I want to watch more of this, and like would actually consider myself a part of the fandom. So I'm like, I don't feel like I can choose that because I can't pinpoint when that happened.
Yeah. For me, I kind of went back and forth. There were a couple of different options. A couple years ago, I started to get into a manga phase, and while I still do like some, like manga, it's not as prevalent as it was. However, 9 years ago, obviously everybody knows who Superman is, but 9 years ago, I knew who Superman was. I was like, meh, he's fine. But in that time, I have become obsessed. The Superman logo is on my watch now. It's one of those comics that I will habitually read. 9 years ago, would I have been excited for a James Gunn Superman? Probably not. However, I cannot wait until next year for this movie. There's a reason that Superman is one of the best well-known superheroes. And it just took me a while to figure that out. So,
which, speaking of that movie and everything, thank you for completely ruining that guy's name for me forever, because I was
Corn Sweat?
Yep. Was scrolling through trying to find something to talk about tonight, and it popped up something about that, and I was just like, that was immediately what I read. God damn it, Mitch. I don't even know how you actually pronounce this guy's name at this point. I give up.
Yeah.
I just call him Corn Sweat.
Yep. It's all your fault.
I mean, thanks. You're listening to The Geek Awakens with Mitch,
Matt,
Tabitha,
and Lydia.
So it's kind of weird, maybe, why we chose 9 years for this question, but there's a reason for that. This is what we are celebrating. We are celebrating our 9th anniversary of doing this podcast. It equal parts feels like not nearly that long, and also that we've been doing it for twice as long.
Yes.
So, obviously, if you guys haven't been listening, or I guess if you haven't been listening because we haven't been putting anything out. We've been pretty inactive this summer. For those of you that don't know, our hometown has a free concert series every summer on the same night as we record. This year, Tabitha and Matt was like, hey, there are a bunch of bands that we want to see, and that means we don't want to do the podcast. And so I was like, okay, at first I was like, all right, so we'll just record on the nights when you guys don't want to go to see whatever it is. But then I was like, But a nice little vacation also sounds fantastic. I don't know about you guys. In the couple months that we haven't been doing podcast, I have read at least 200 comics.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I was going through my backlog a lot, and I loved it. But so Matt, Tabitha, I want to talk to you for a second, just to kind of like talk about this. What were some of the bands that you really enjoyed with this concert series?
There were some really good ones, and there were some ones that I thought we would enjoy that we ended up not enjoying.
Yeah.
And then I think my most enjoyable one was actually an opener for one of the bigger bands, and it was the Wolf Creek Boys.
Oh, yeah, they're local, too.
Yeah, they're local, and I have heard them before somewhere, but I don't think I put together that they were a local band until then. It's not typically my genre, but I had probably the best time with their music.
Yeah, I don't know that I could pick necessarily a favorite, but there definitely have been some really fun ones, some ones that we've enjoyed. I think in general, my favorite part about this concert series is that while there may be a general theme, like it may be rock or it may be bluegrass or jazz. I think the first one was the name, Empire Strikes Brass, but they played one. It was a brass band, but they only played one, like, Star Wars geeky nerdy song. The rest of it was just
big band.
Big band music, and it was a good time. But like for most of them, it's a conglomeration of styles, so it's not just one. I think Wolf Creek Boys is one example. One of the other local bands that was an opener was Colin Helton Band, which it was on the rock night, but it had kind of almost a bluegrass tinge to it. I mean, like I've heard of him before. I know he's played in Springfield before, but to hear the influences and the multi-genre music basically that they put together. It's been a lot of fun. It's been nice. It also has been kind of an opportunity to just be outside in the evening. I am a magnet for mosquitoes, and there aren't any on the Y block, so I can go sit outside and not be eaten in the 3 hours that we're sitting out there listening to music. So it's a plus for me.
So, Lydia, did you go to any of those?
I did not. There was a couple I wanted to, and then just with life and everything, and trying to keep up with baby and work and laundry and all that normal like household stuff that you're supposed to do, it never happened, and I feel like I've done like a million loads of laundry and still haven't gotten anywhere. So I'm glad you guys had a fun and productive time. I've been trying to do something and don't feel like I've gotten anywhere.
I mean, laundry can be fun.
It can be.
Yeah.
No.
I've literally folded laundry every day this week though, so that's
Oh.
No bueno.
yeah.
No bueno.
No.
So, all that said, so we took a few months off, and now we're doing this, and now we're going to take like another month off because my job is going to have me working the state fair, not just here in Springfield, but also in Des Moines. I realize as I'm saying this that makes me sound like a carny, but I promise I'm not a carny.
Yes.
I'm just saying it'd be fun.
No.
I've heard stories. I don't think it'd be fun.
Okay, fine. So you get to listen to us tonight, and then in a month you'll hear us again. But yeah, we're celebrating 9 years of this. I just wanted to, take a quick second to say thanks to, all the people who've helped us out over the years, whether it's by granting us an interview or giving us like advance copies of stuff to review, or even just listening to us make each other laugh every week, because that is what we are best at. Also, speaking of anniversaries, I guess we are also kind of celebrating Tabitha's birthday a little bit early.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks. And a 1, and a 2, and just kidding. Just kidding.
Oh, you were so close to losing your life just now.
I'm glad I'm on wheels because I was just gonna slowly back away out of the line of fire.
So we've done this a couple of times when we've taken extended breaks, where we talk about like a couple of things that happened while we were gone, and so this next section is affectionately called "Since We've Been Gone."
We've.
And we're all singing it.
Yep.
You're welcome. You guys didn't hear it now, but in post, I'm going to put a clip of that song in there. It's going to be fantastic. So, Lydia, let's start with you. No, we're not going to start with you.
My story. Don't
Just
start
kidding.
with me.
Just kidding. Matt, of the things that we're going to talk about that happened while we were gone, yours is probably the most recent of the stuff that is now no longer recent.
It is. It is. It's recent, but it's not recent, but it is recent. I think in the time that we've been gone, it was announced that Marvel was returning to Hall H at San Diego Comic-Con, which I think Marvel and DC both skipped last year, and they were both back this year.
That sounds about right.
But Marvel, they did the Marvel thing. They pulled out some pretty big reveals in Hall H. They officially introduced the Fantastic Four. They shared that the actual title is going to be Fantastic Four First Steps. It is officially going to be set in the 60s. So the cast was on stage. They did some interviews. They brought out Anthony Mackie and Harrison Ford for Captain America Brave New World. Obviously there was some Wolverine Deadpool shenanigans. But I think the biggest reveal that they had to do with the fact that, well, okay, backtrack just a little bit. When Jonathan Majors had some legal issues a while back, we did end up talking about it and how that would affect Kang in the MCU. And we weren't sure. Like, the prediction was that they were just going to recast him as a variant and keep moving. Well, Marvel kind of flipped everything on its head. And they are probably still recasting Kang. They haven't announced who. But they not only tweaked the schedule for movies, but they officially announced that we're getting 2 more Avengers movies, both directed by the Russo brothers, who are returning.
Woo!
Returning?
Returning? Russo's returning?
Sure. That was a stretch.
Just like Mr. Fantastic?
Yeah.
Where? Sorry, it was in my armpit.
A stinky shame.
Adding that to the list.
But the Russos announced that of the 2 Avengers movies that they are doing, one of them we did know about. One of them is still going to be Secret Wars, which, at least for Mitch and I, having known the comics and the universe and the stories of Secret Wars, it's going to take all of this multiverse shenanigans that they have been playing with since Loki, and it's all going to come back, and we're going to end up with one cohesive universe after that's done. So we kind of know where that's going. The sooner rather than later Avengers movie is where the real twist comes in. It's no longer Kang Dynasty. It is going to be Avengers Doomsday, and we are getting Doctor Doom as a villain. Not just any Doctor Doom, not just any actor. They also announced at Hall H that Robert Downey Jr. is returning to the MCU as Doctor Doom. The reveal that ended up online listening to people in Hall H was insane. I'm just going to say that for me, the jury is still out on whether this is a good idea or not. I guess only time will tell.
Yeah. When I saw that, which not Seth, told me about it, and I was like, I'm sorry, what? And then so I got on Facebook and I looked at that, and like at first I was like, this cannot be real, and then I saw the video of it. I was like, oh, it is real, and this is kind of badass. So, Lydia, did you find your story?
I did.
Okay. So what's up with Wizarding World?
So, Universal Orlando had announced several months back that they were opening a new theme park, Epic Universe, which is going to have like How to Train Your Dragon and Super Nintendo and a dark universe even that has like Frankenstein and all that. Apparently, we are also getting a new Harry Potter world that is going to be Ministry of Magic based. It's set to open in 2025, and it is supposed to span the narrative between 1920s Paris all the way to 1990s London. So basically, you get a connection between the Fantastic Beasts series to the original, let's say 8 in this case, because they base it off the movies mainly. And kind of connect it all together. And you travel between these areas via flue powder.
Oh.
So part of it is set within the British Ministry of Magic. It is part of Harry Potter and the Battle at the Ministry, where apparently you are in Umbridge's trial, and she tries to escape. So the ride on that is basically you trying to help them chase her down. Apparently, it also is going to have a section that will feature a live show, Le Cirque Arcanus, which is supposed to be a full-scale theater show that has live performers, aerialists, puppetry, all sorts of things. And there are going to be the Fantastic Beasts scattered throughout the park. Also, there's obviously going to be a shop that you can purchase wands at, that you can interact with all of these beasts, a couple different eateries that I cannot pronounce because they are all in French. So yeah, they are building up a new Harry Potter world that is going to be a new section. So we've got that'll make Diagon Alley, Hogsmeade, and now Ministry of Magic across about what? Is that an 80-year span?
Yeah.
I can't math. So. But yeah, apparently that's supposed to open sometime next year alongside some of these other parks that they are building with this new Epic Universe that they have going. And I am very excited. I think Epic Universe is supposed to be a whole new section. So they are basically building onto it. Because I know I also read more about the actual Dark Universe one that they are doing a while back that is going to have rides with Frankenstein's monster and the werewolf and things like that. So they are actually building extra sections to the park.
That's been in the works for a while because there were announcements about that Dark Universe thing happening when I was there in 2012 or whenever that was, however long ago that was. Because they were talking about rides that were upcoming in one of their little we did the Monster Magic show where you go in and watch them do face paint or whatever.
Gotcha.
And they were talking about how they were essentially practicing for upcoming events and things that were coming to the park.
Do we have any connections at Springfield Airport so we can get maybe sponsored by Breeze to get a trip to Orlando for us? No.
I mean, it's traveling to Florida, Michael. What could it cost? $10? I don't know. How much is a flight to Florida? It can't be that much.
I mean, they're crazy expensive, crazy cheap with Breeze. So
Okay.
I mean, from Springfield, it's also cheaper than from anywhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So come on, Breeze, throw us 10 tickets. Shh, they don't know how many people we have. Just say 10. we'll find some people to sell them to.
Right.
But I'm worried they're gonna get rid of my Simpsons area pretty soon since that's a Fox property. I got to get down there.
Have you never been? Yeah, we got to get Evan to Florida. Never thought I'd say that.
Group trip.
And that's how not Seth becomes Florida man.
As long as he doesn't get killed by Florida man.
True. So my story has a bit of a local twist to it. I can't remember if we actually talked about this in an earlier episode or if it was one of those things where the story was cut for time or whatever. But a few months back, Chuck E. Cheese announced that they were getting rid of all of their animatronic bands except for one in one location in California that would be Munch's make-believe band, like permanent residency. People were not happy about it. And then so they were like, okay, fine. We'll keep one in New York, too. That still wasn't good enough. Yeah. The original one was California. Yeah. They kept that one. And then another location in Nanuet, New York, would also retain the animatronic band. However, they also announced a few more locations would keep it, including ours here in Springfield, Illinois. So,
What a claim to fame.
yes, Munch's Make-Believe Band isn't going anywhere. And as a former Chuck E. Cheese cast member, that's what they called employees.
Better than a Chuck E. Cheeseite.
Ooh. So as a former
Chuck E. Cheese it.
as a former cast member, I am happy for that, and that's exciting. And I was very stoked to learn that, even though I haven't been in that building in close to 20 years, but still, a little part of my heart smiled that day.
It's probably still in that ball pit.
So are they gonna update the animatronics so that they are better and not gonna fall apart or potentially eat a child like Freddy Fazbear?
Oh, that's part of the fun, though. I can't tell you how many times I would close and after you turn off their air or whatever, they would still move, and it would look creepy as hell. And even then,
Nope.
I would turn it off, and then even 5-10 minutes later, you would still you would hear something, and yeah, it's terrifying in there, guys, legit. But still, I didn't want them to go. Tabitha, you don't necessarily have a story, but you did some stuff while we were gone.
Yeah, you got caught up on comics. We got caught up on TV, apparently, and movies. And by get caught up, I mean we watched 5 things, but that's way more things than we usually watch.
Yeah.
We'll start with something I had been talking about for a really long time, which was season 3 of Bridgerton.
Both parts.
Have been watched. I enjoyed them, but not as much as I wanted to. I had some gripes about the way that the new director changed things. They have now announced that the next Bridgerton sibling they're going to cover is going to be Benedict, which is my favorite of the Bridgerton siblings, so I am very excited about that. We also recently, and by recently I mean Saturday, binged the entirety of My Lady Jane, which is a fantastical retelling of Lady Jane Grey and her 9 days as Queen of England after the death of Edward I. It was fantastic. The casting was well done. The history was well told. It was essentially the Protestants versus the Catholics, but in this iteration of the series, the Catholics are represented as Verities, and the Protestants are Ethians, which they're essentially able to transform into animals, and so that was super well done. I'm excited to see where or if they make more of these. I'm pretty sure they're going to.
That soundtrack was killer too.
Yes, it was. It was amazing. I've listened to it every time I've gotten in my car since we stopped watching the show. We also managed to watch the documentary about the 6 schizophrenic brothers. that is based on a book that I read a really, 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 really long time ago. And they interviewed some of the brothers. It was really good up until the end, and then I got very angry. It is what it is. Managed to watch an A24 film. We watched Zone of Interest. I really liked it. I think at the end of that movie, Matt was not having the best time. I like quiet movies. They bring me joy, and I like looking for symbolism in things, and this was absolutely riddled with it. If you have any interest or any... I think you have to have a very high-level knowledge of...
Nazi Germany.
Yes. To kind of get a lot of the stuff. Like, I was picking up on things that I know you were not picking up on, and I didn't want to pause the movie to explain it. Like a jerk. We also managed to watch Miller's Girl, which was something I've talked about before. I loved it. The banter in that movie was some of the best banter I've ever experienced in my life.
Some of those digs.
Yes. Oh, I love
one-liners.
I love
like,
when Jenna Ortega makes fun of people.
Zingers.
Gives me life. Managed to watch Iron Claw. That was depressing. Don't recommend that unless you're
Did we
feeling
watch
pretty
anything
happy.
that wasn't A24?
I don't know. And then we watched Late Night with the Devil.
Also
which
A24.
Also A24. And then Evan managed to finish Everything Everywhere All at Once, which I would really like to tell you that I enjoyed, but it gave me a full-blown panic attack.
Careful what you say. He's going to throw my laptop.
I am so sorry. I tried really hard, but it literally sent me into an anxiety spiral that I almost didn't recover from. Like the pacing at the end of that movie and like the things going, I was so overstimulated, and I am so glad I didn't see that in the theater because I would have walked out. I'm so sorry. Don't hate me. Do I have to leave?
Not yet.
There's still
Let
a
me say what I want to
possibility.
say, then you can leave. So you're like overwhelmed, like Michelle Yeoh, like towards the end of the part where she's just throwing up violently and then passes away.
Pretty close.
Like once they got to like the black hole
Mm-hmm.
thing, I needed a break, and like we paused it, and then we went back into it, and then I was self-soothing myself, like patting my chest and like rocking myself back and forth to finish that movie. It was bad.
Fair. For those of you who want to see the movie in theaters, it is being released in IMAX on August 28th. So get your tickets now. It will sell out because I will buy them all.
And then force everybody
You can
he knows
have
to go.
mine.
But let's rewatch it again. But I'll have a director's commentary. That's just me telling you all the facts that I've learned about Everything Everywhere All at Once because I've seen it so many times.
Can we watch it in parts?
We'll watch it at like 0.75 speed.
Okay.
And then like each time it goes to like the Everything Everywhere and then All at Once sections, we'll take a break at those cards.
Okay. I will need to be medicated first.
I mean, you always need to be medicated.
Well, yes, but I will need to be like extra medicated.
Okay.
I mean, you're further along than I have gotten because I still haven't finished that movie.
Just so you know, when he says director's cut, he means it because he has done a shot-by-shot remake starring our two cats.
That I would watch.
It's a little terrifying, but also adorable. All right, so let's go into the pull list. What's on our pull list this week? And there are two books to talk about. They are both anthologies, and they are both out now. And they are both from Oni Press and its new imprint, EC Comics. I say new imprint, but EC Comics was around, then it was gone, now it's back, thanks to Oni Press. The first anthology is Cruel Summer. It's issue 1 of 5. I did not get a chance to read this one. I was actually looking for it. I know that I downloaded it, but like I was looking through my PDFs and I couldn't find it, and I was like, fine. So, Matt, let's start with you. Tell me why I should try to find this book.
The Epitaphs, right?
Cruel Summer.
Oh,
I'm
Cruel
sorry.
Summer. Sorry. So Cruel Summer is, it is Cruel Summer. My God. Cruel Universe.
Cruel Universe.
I was like, what is Cruel Summer? Like the movie?
I was thinking the song.
That's right. The song. Which version of the song?
Oh my
The
goodness.
original or the remake? Anyway.
So, Cruel Universe,
Cruel Universe.
is the anthology
Yes.
that's out now from Oni Press and EC Comics.
Oh my
I am
God.
so sorry.
That was all the wrong places. Anyway, Cruel Universe is a sci-fi anthology. It almost has a little bit of a horror tinge to it, but not anything that's super intense or graphic as far as horror goes. It's a lot of it is just some almost classic sci-fi ideas done short story format in, say, 10 pages of a comic. Like the second one, for all intents and purposes, takes a classic mystery theme of a locked room and puts it in space outside of a black hole. The ending is a twist. Don't necessarily see coming. The first one is like a space gladiator type story. They're fun. They're different. Art-wise, I didn't see anything that was just mind-blowing. Was not like, oh my God, like the art absolutely makes this. In a lot of cases, the art is kind of retro-styled, which fits with the Cruel Universe kind of anthology theme. It's a little Twilight Zone. It's a little Buck Rogers, I guess, if you will, that kind of vibe for some of the art. Overall, I enjoyed it. This is one of those that I will keep going, and I would like to see if any of these stories continue. They all say the end before going on to the next one, which is nice because you do get that, okay, I know this story's done. We're moving on to the next one, because the titles are kind of integrated into the art. So if you're not super paying attention, you're like immediately drawn into the art or the story, like you may miss the title. So the fact that there's a the end at the end of each of these is helpful for transitioning. But I would like to see if some of these continue, or for all of the rest of the 5 issues, we get more individual stories. Either way, I think it's fun the way they're playing with some of these classic tropes and twisting them on their heads. So I'm here for it. I'm ready to see what issue 2 holds.
Tabitha, what'd you think?
The first story in this, I would read that as a book format. I would read it as a full-length graphic novel. Like, I really enjoyed it. The little twist at the end of that, didn't see that coming. The dinosaur.
Oh, yeah.
Did not see that coming. It is a very quick read. It's like 6 pages maybe. Mm-hmm. 10 out of 10 would recommend taking 5 minutes out of your day and reading that to literally anybody I've ever met. It was so well done. The next 3 did not impress me as much as that first one, and I think they set that bar so high with that one. I almost wish that anthology had been flipped and that had been the final story. I don't want any of those stories to continue, though, because I love the way every single one of them wrapped up.
That's fair.
But I would read more like this for sure.
So where Cruel Universe was more sci-fi based, Epitaphs from the Abyss is definitely more horror. This one is also issue 1 of 5. It gave... well, especially because of like the first couple of pages, it definitely gave Tales from the Crypt vibes to it.
Yep.
Of the 4 stories in this one, I really enjoyed the first 2. The first issue, you've got this writer who At first, I was like, huh. How do I want to say this? At first, like the first couple pages, I was like, oh, Matt needs to read this one. And then when the writer does what the writer does, I was like, I really hope Matt doesn't read this one. But the second one was probably my favorite. It featured it was about this investigative journalist who is basically trying to confront this senator to ask her why basically she is going against all of her beliefs and all that kind of stuff. It was really cool. Of all the issues or of all the stories in this one, I wanted this one to keep going. The first one with the writer, it was a satisfying end. There definitely could be more to that one, but it was satisfying. This one, I'm like, they ended right at a cliffhanger. I would love to keep that going. The third issue was about this family who, without giving too much away, they are left with a very, very, very difficult choice. First, couple of pages, I didn't think I was going to like this one. Towards the end, again, with the ending, I really liked what they did with it. And then the last story, I don't know if I was pressed for time and so I was kind of speed reading that one or whatever. But that one didn't really stick with me. And that one, by the time I ended it, I was like, huh? What just happened? But overall, I enjoyed my time reading this comic. All the the art styles for each comic are very different, which is a really good thing. It was they're all horror, but they're all different types of horror, and suspense, I guess, is another really good word for it. Matt, I know you read some of it.
I actually read all of these. I do have to agree with the last one. Again, like you, don't know if I was pressed for time or what, but that last one just didn't really. I didn't really feel that last one. The rest of them all had a twist at the end that I didn't really see coming. Maybe I wasn't expecting it, wasn't looking for it, but I did enjoy that all of them had that twist. I also I enjoyed the first three greatly. I do think, like Tabitha said for Cruel Universe, I do think that the first of these, this first story, was the strongest, and then they were a little bit weaker as the book went along. Mm-hmm. So, again, maybe to flip them, but at the same time, I had a good time. I enjoyed these. The art styles are different, which does fit with each of the different stories as well, which is nice. And I'm definitely here for more issues. And no, I wouldn't do what that writer does, but I do have those moments where I'm like, I hate that you came up with this idea and I didn't.
Especially considering your roommate is also your wife, so I'm really glad that you don't do that.
No.
Tabitha, what'd you think?
I really enjoyed this because I think you said it, like every single one of these was a different type of horror. Mm-hmm. Like you weren't like running into like anything that felt repetitive. Even in the first one we were talking about, the sci-fi, some of those stories, they felt not repetitive, but like you were still in that sci-fi genre through the whole thing, and it felt really thematic. This one felt like those could be individual books if they were just a little bit longer, and they smushed them all together, which is not a bad thing. I think it kind of kept you on your toes, and the art being different was really helpful as well, because I hate when all the art is the same and it's a different story because my brain can't figure it out. I really thought that, what was the middle, like the second one?
The Senator one? Yes,
I liked that one. I thought that one, I think that was the one I got all the way through. The last one I got all the way through, maybe. I really enjoyed that one. The jump scare almost. Was that the one with the jump scare? I read all of this really fast in a very small window of time. There was a little bit of a jump scare in either the first or the second one, and it actually got me. And it almost never happens in a book, let alone a graphic novel, because my brain is skipping ahead.
I'm not 100% for sure if we're thinking the same thing, but in the second one, I don't know if I would call it a jump scare, but I think I know what you're talking about, and if you are, it was in the second one.
Okay, yeah, it was kind of like just very shocking moment, and that almost never happens to me when I'm reading, so kudos to them.
So devil's advocate for the person that didn't get a chance to read any of these, maybe the reason they put the better ones at the beginning was because they were afraid if they put the weaker ones first and nobody would read far enough ahead to get to the ones that were better.
That's fair.
Which in a way kind of sucks because you're kind of like ranking the novels you're putting in this anthology, but at the same time I could see doing that so that you don't lose your audience, because at least if you start with the strong one, you kind of had that curiosity of, well, this next one wasn't that great, but maybe the next one will be better, and then you keep going, as opposed to starting off weak and going, this wasn't that great, I don't really care if I keep going.
Yeah, true.
So, all right, let's go to Guilty Pleasure Dumpster Fire.
Is it a guilty pleasure or is it a dumpster fire?
And we're going to try to keep this as short as possible because we are already at about 46 minutes. That's pre-edited time. It's fine. So, what happens when you mix Johnny Depp, Paul Bettany, Gwyneth Paltrow, Ewan McGregor, Jeff Goldblum, and Olivia Munn with murder, art heists, and a sweet stash, and also lots and lots of vomit? You get one of the lowest rated movies to come out the year that we started our podcast. So Mortdecai stars Johnny Depp as Charles Mortdecai, an art dealer / swindler who is in a lot of debt. He and his servant Jock, played by Paul Bettany, are recruited by his frenemy, Ewan McGregor's Alistair Martland, to help solve the murder of an art restorer and to retrieve a stolen Goya painting. In its opening weekend, Mortdecai grossed $4.2 million when it was projected to top $10 million. In total, it made $7.7 million in the U.S. and $47.3 million worldwide on a $60 million budget.
Whoa.
Yeah. Mortdecai was nominated for 3 Razzies. Worst Actor for Johnny Depp, Worst Actress for Gwyneth Paltrow, and Worst On-Screen Combo for Johnny Depp and his glued-on mustache. In February 2022, director David Cope kind of sort of took blame for the film's failures. He said, quote, "I only directed something someone else wrote once, and it was a misbegotten adventure from the beginning, as much my fault as anybody else's."
Oh.
Yeah. So, with an IMDb score of 5.5 out of 10 and a 12% tomato meter score on Rotten Tomatoes, is Mortdecai a guilty pleasure or a dumpster fire? We're first going to start with the good. Lydia, what did you like about Mortdecai?
So, as stupid as majority of this movie is, there are some really cute moments throughout it and things that legitimately make you laugh. Overall, one of the best parts of this movie is the cast, because if it didn't have this cast, I don't think it would have even gotten the score that it did. Because if you had just taken a bunch of actors that nobody knew, this wouldn't probably have even made it through its first weekend. But because it had so many big name actors in it, it actually worked a tiny bit. Also, I think Paul Bettany is hands down the best character in this movie. I feel bad that he got shot so many times. But you gotta admire the man's persistence. So, yeah.
I was a little shocked at work today when Tabitha and I, like, we talked very briefly about this movie, and we had very different reactions to this movie. And I was shocked by this. Tabitha, what worked for Mortdecai for you?
Literally everything. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I told Matt about 10 minutes in that I felt like I was watching a Dollar General Wes Anderson movie, and I was here for it. I was engaged. I loved the art stuff. I loved the hokey detective story happening in the background. I loved the weird love triangle. That I have no complaints about this movie. Like, I cracked up a couple of times. Gwyneth Paltrow's reaction to the mustache. Every time I see a man with just a mustache, I also want to vomit. I get it. The gag reflex thing that Johnny Depp was having, it just, chef's kiss. Like, this was so good. Like, this could be, for me, one of those, I'm having a really bad day. I need to lay in my bed and disassociate and stare at a wall. I would put this on in the background and let it play.
Lydia, you kind of hit the nail on the head with the casting. Of the things that I enjoyed about this movie, the casting director, like, I don't know how many favors this person called in or whatever, but, like, kudos to you. I hope that you got every penny that you deserved.
To be fair, let's be honest, like, a good chunk of that $60 million spent on this movie was on the cast.
Yeah. Probably 59 of the 60 million. Also, kudos to, like, hair, makeup, whoever, because even though I knew going into this that Johnny Depp was Mortdecai, I spent the entire movie trying to make Mortdecai look like Johnny Depp. Like, I didn't recognize him. I don't know if it was just the hair or what, or if it was the mustache, but for whatever reason, like, my brain, like, equal parts, knew that it was Johnny Depp, but did not register that it was Johnny Depp. So, good job there. Also, like, I couldn't help but feel, as someone who has tried to pull off just a mustache, I couldn't help but feel for poor Charles Mortdecai, because all he wanted to do was make that mustache work. Which, one of the, I don't know, 3 times I laughed in that movie was the scene when he was in America and he got on the elevator and, like, a bunch of hipsters got in the elevator with him, and they were all had, like, different types of mustaches, and, like, I don't remember exactly what he said, but he was just kind of like, I'm with my people now. So, like, that was fantastic. Matt, what worked for you?
I also have to echo the sentiment that this cast was pretty much what made this movie. I think the 2 cast reveals, because I didn't look at the cast list before we started this. So apart from Johnny Depp and happening to catch the fact that Ewan McGregor was in this, not knowing what role he played, that was all I knew. And the Ewan McGregor reveal, because when he comes onto the set, he comes onto screen, you're just looking to his back and the back of his head, and he's walking away from the camera, and you don't, like, I wasn't sure if that was even him. And then watching him turn, I was like, oh god, he's playing this, MI5 agent. I'm like, it was fantastic. That, and when they get to America and you get the reveal of Jeff Goldblum, I was like, amen. Like, that was spot on. It was perfect. He played that role unbelievably well. I do still have to agree that Jock and Paul Bettany was the best role. And maybe it's because, I don't know, I have enjoyed pretty much anything Paul Bettany has done since I saw him play Chaucer in A Knight's Tale. Like, ever since then, it's just like, whatever he's in, you want to go see this movie? Absolutely. I don't care what he's playing. I don't care what part he has. Like, I'm here for watching Paul Bettany act on screen. There were some funny jokes. The sympathetic gag reflex made me chuckle every time. I don't know why. It just... Maybe it's because Gwyneth Paltrow gagged, and then he would, like, turn and go, but not actually puke. Just, like, gag, you know. I don't know. Like, that's probably the biggest part, is probably the cast in general, is what is I guess what made this movie any money. It's also what they spent the money on, obviously, but yes.
So now we're going to talk about the flip side and what wasn't so great about Mortdecai. Most of the jokes in this movie fell flat for me. I thought a lot of the humor was juvenile, which this is coming from somebody who does love juvenile humor. But like, I wasn't here for it. Jock, you like to fuck. We get it. Like, just, yeah. Yeah, like the party scene where everybody started throwing up about made me throw up. I was not here for it. I don't know that you want to call it a sympathetic gag reflex. I don't think it was. It was just a visceral reaction to that. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I was in the right mindset or what. There was a good chunk of time during the movie I was, even so bored, I signed up for new auto insurance. So there's that. Just there was not enough in this movie that really even tried to grab me. Tabitha, tell me I'm wrong.
I found the humor to be lighthearted and fun, and maybe, yes, a little juvenile, but like, I felt like without that, this movie would have been trash. Like, I don't laugh out loud a whole lot. Like, I don't LOL. I kind of like smile and then nod when I think something's really funny, like on a movie. But I laughed out loud multiple times watching this, and that almost never happens to me. So it was the in my opinion, some of the humor that maybe you're thinking was juvenile was actually like a smart humor. It's like a dry British humor, but in American, but in an American film. Like, it was almost like satire of British humor. Does that make sense? Mm. That's how I was seeing the humor. Mm. My only beef was Johnny Depp's mustache. Like, I know without it, we would have not had some of the best plot points in the movie, but it was really hard to look at a couple of times. I really, really liked the car chase scene because it felt so mocking of a James Bond car chase scene, but in this, like, satirical, funny Monty Python kind of way. I'm struggling to find something I did not enjoy.
Matt, what about you?
The biggest thing that did not work for me was, and I know that this is Johnny Depp playing the character the way he interpreted it, was asked to act, etc. It was his facial expressions were so over the top. Like, there's moments where he says something and then he stops talking, but his face continues to move. Like, his eyebrows are shifting or his mouth is moving, but he's not saying anything because he's still, like, expressing. And it was distracting. Also, his run at the beginning of the car chase scene, I know... Again, I know that that's what he was trying to do for the character, but again, immediately, Johnny Depp, all I think is Captain Jack. Because that's what that run was. That was basically, that was a British version of Captain Jack running. That's what that was. The other thing that didn't really work for me was the way we watched this, it did have commercial breaks, which is not really a thing anymore. And every time we went to a commercial break, we would pause to, refresh our beverage or go to the bathroom. and we would hit play again, and we're like, that's as far into this movie as we are. We have how much left?
Yeah.
It did seem to go on for an inordinately amount of time.
I promise I'm not just saying this because I didn't like this movie, but the commercial breaks, I don't know why, but like, I don't know if I found it nostalgic or what, but like, I didn't hate the commercial breaks.
Throwback to 9 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
They at least felt like they were well placed in this movie
Yes.
compared to some other movies that I've watched with ads in it. There's just like middle of them talking ad.
Yeah.
Like it felt like there was actually a break in the scene when they threw the ads in, so that was helpful.
Which, yeah, Mortdecai is available on Tubi right now. But yeah, you're absolutely right. And I did like with Tubi how like it kind of warned you. It was like ad coming in 5, 4. It was like, okay, cool. I've got my phone ready.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah. Lydia, what didn't work for you?
So I'll be honest, I'm kind of with Tabitha. There's not a whole lot that I can hate on. The two biggest things that bugged me is that there were times that some of the accents were so overdone or so poorly done that it's like, what the hell did they just say? So that stumped me a couple times because I was having to like rewind what they said in my brain and slow it down so I understood what was being said. And the other thing that bugged me, which I don't know why it bugs me so bad, is this movie's R-rated. Probably because of, all the sex jokes and various other things and all that. But because of that, they get F-bombs. And there's only 2 of them in the movie. And one of them was so awkwardly placed. Like, why throw the F-bomb in when they're checking into the hotel where he did? Like, that served absolutely no purpose. Like,
I didn't even think about it, yeah.
So the second one, that one made sense.
Yeah.
Like, that befitted an F-bomb, but just, well, I don't need your help. I've got an effing manservant. It's like, that was, like, really out of place and unnecessary. Why did you choose there, of all places, to drop an F-bomb? When you're R-rated, you could have probably dropped as many as you wanted, and you only chose 2, and that's where you put one of them? I don't know. It just really bugged me for some reason.
I did notice that it was R-rated, and I kind of was looking for that during the entire film. Like, what makes this movie R-rated? Usually it's pretty obvious. And apart from the 2 F-bombs, and I know this is 9 years ago, but is that the only thing that really made this rated R?
Yeah, it's like, because most of the, like, sex scenes and stuff are off camera.
Yeah.
And even when he's, like, groping her boobs, you don't see anything.
No.
So, I don't know, maybe.
No.
But then in that case, then what's the point of it being rated R?
Exactly.
Because it didn't help you make any money.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe some of the action scenes were just a little too action-y.
Maybe they shot Paul Bettany too many times.
Yeah.
How many Paul Bettany shots does it take to make a movie R-rated?
Aw, poor Paul. So, Lydia, if I'm not mistaken, didn't you say that you had seen this before?
I had.
Okay. How did this viewing hold up to the first time you saw it?
I think I actually liked it better this time than the first time I watched it, and part of that may be who I watched it with, but I digress. For some reason, though, as soon as you said Mortdecai was one of the options to watch, my brain started replaying the scene at the end where they're swapping the painting out. I don't know why that's the one part that stuck in my brain. I couldn't remember a gosh darn thing about how they got to that point or why. I just remembered, oh, hey, they're in the back room and they're going to swap out a painting for some reason. That's all I got, though. Sure, we'll rewatch it. Why not? So, but, yeah, I rather enjoyed watching it this time, so.
Have either of you seen this movie before?
Nope.
Okay. All right. I think I know where everybody stands, but for
Technically, we're
prosperity. Okay, yes, where everybody's sitting. For prosperity, is Mortdecai a guilty pleasure or a dumpster fire? Prosperity?
Posterity.
Posterity?
No. Posterity.
No, this movie was not prosperous.
I'm dumb. It's fine. Is Mortdecai a guilty pleasure or a dumpster fire? I will go first. I did not care enough about this movie one way or the other, and for me, I feel like that means it's a dumpster fire. Tabitha.
I don't even know if this is a guilty pleasure. It's just a pleasure. I enjoyed this.
Matt.
So I was thinking about this particular question after we got done watching the movie. And there have been some of these movies that we got done and I just absolutely... all I wanted was my 2 hours back. I'm like, really? Like, this is what we spent our time watching? The sacrifices we make for this show.
Right.
And there's others that I have thoroughly enjoyed. This sits squarely in the middle. Like, I didn't, by any stretch of the imagination, hate the time I spent, but I didn't love this movie. I don't have the same reaction that Tabitha does. I'm not going to put this movie on when I need to decompress and zone out. But if this movie is on again somewhere, I would probably sit and watch it. So I guess by de facto, it is a guilty pleasure.
Lydia.
Yeah, I'm going to have to say it's a guilty pleasure because I would put this on in the background just because I could.
All right. I know when to admit defeat. I'm not going to say that I'm wrong. But I admit defeat. So, we've got one more story, and I was trying to find a weird story. This isn't so much weird as it is a little bit heartwarming, but it kind of fits in with our whole anniversary thing. So, picture it. Las Vegas, 2015. Judith Manarez has a dog named Gizmo. Gizmo is 2 years old. Gizmo slips past a gate in her parents' backyard and is lost.
Oh no, Gizmo.
Yes. So, Judith, at the time, she was living with her parents. So, in the years that passed, Judith moves out. She gets a master's degree in English. She is teaching in a higher education. But she never stopped searching for Gizmo. So, fast forward to... it doesn't say exactly when, but fast forward to this year. A woman turns a dog into the vet. This dog is 11 years old. This dog has seen some shit. The dog, let me see. The dog is now afraid of shadows, heights, birds. It limps. The eyes are infected. Some of its teeth are missing. However, it's microchipped. And so the vet, does whatever.
Scan it.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. Scans the dog, and it belongs to none other than Judith Manarez. It's Gizmo.
Aww.
Yeah. So the vet calls Judith, and Judith is obviously, in tears at this point. She goes, gets Gizmo, and she even said, she says, even though he looked so different, when I looked in his eyes, I knew immediately it was Gizmo. As soon as I said his name, he tilted his head, and he didn't stop staring at me.
Aww.
So, yeah.
That's so sweet.
It's very sweet.
The podcast is over. I have to go home and hug my dog.
Okay, fine. I guess that's a good time as any to end this. Yeah, but yeah. So let us be your Gizmo, I guess, is the moral of this story. No,
Lose us for 11 years and then find us and hug us?
but let's be honest.
Don't hug me though.
Aren't, Aren't we all walking with limps? Aren't all of our eyes infected? Aren't we all missing teeth? Or is it just me?
I think it's just you.
Are you okay?
I don't know.
Okay.
Can we talk after the show?
Look at the time.
I gotta go let the dog. So
So, all right. But yeah, that's all that's going to be it for this week. We'll see you guys in a month. Everybody say bye.
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 That's going to do it for this episode of The Geek Awakens. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, shoot us an email at thegeekawakenspodcast@gmail.com.
It would be a shame if you didn't follow us on Facebook and Instagram at the Geek Awakens Podcast or on Twitter at Geek Awakens.
Theme music created and produced by E. Cannon Beats.
Our logo was designed by Shay McCain.
Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time. We're boldly gone.